It's very unfortunate, but with millions of ships on water, mishaps are certain to happen at some point. Cue the sad music from the Titanic. Tragic outcomes have occurred on rare occasions in the past involving stowaways and overcrowding, making accurate death tolls difficult to ascertain. A variety of threats, both natural and man-made, like tsunamis, poor ship maintenance, or even outright attacks, have plagued the ships for as long as humans have been able to travel by water. Shipwrecks and other marine catastrophes evoke a sense of dread like few other events. The modern world has strict safety procedures in place, making ships safer every year. However, this was not always the case, so let's go for a blast into the past at 10 of the worst shipwrecks ever. Number 10. SS Mont-Blanc. Land dwellers felt the effects of one of the worst marine disasters ever, and in this case we are talking about the Halifax Harbour disaster. The French ammunition-laden cargo ship SS Mont-Blanc collided with the Norwegian steamship SS IMO on December 6, 1917. As a result, a massive explosion occurred, with casualty estimates between 2,000 and 9,000. Due to the proximity of the crash to land in Halifax Harbour, over 500 acres of the city were wiped off. If only there was a way to recover damaged land faster. Number 9. MV Doña Paz. Doña Paz was originally constructed in Japan in 1963, but in 1975 it was purchased by a Filipino ferry company. After a fire destroyed much of the vessel in 1979, it was rebuilt and once again began making the twice-weekly journey from Manila to Tacloban, the capital of a nearby province. An oil tanker and a passenger ferry had a collision on December 20, 1987. In less than 2 hours, the ferry sank beneath the waves, taking with it an estimated 4,375 lives. 24 or so survivors were recovered from the shark-infested waters near the wreck site, and they estimated that at least 4,000 people were on board since they had purchased illegal tickets from the operators. The government's official death toll was 1,749, but experts believe the actual number is likely closer to 4 times that. Number 8. SS Kiangya. The SS Kiangya was a passenger steamship and one of 8 vessels run by the Shanghai Merchants Group. Over 2,000 people boarded her at Shanghai in December 1948, the vast majority of them fleeing the approaching communists during the Chinese Civil War. The manifest is uncertain. It is believed that Kiangya became aground on a mine planted by the Imperial Japanese Navy during World War II. Between 2,750 and 3,922 persons were killed in the ship's explosion. 700 people managed to get picked up by passing ships. The debris was removed and the ship was renovated so that it could once again operate as a ferry between Shanghai and Wuhan in 1959. Number 7. MV Goya. The Norwegian cargo MV Goya was constructed in 1940, but the Nazis took it over during their occupation of the country. In 1945, she became a passenger ship for operational Hannibal, evacuating passengers from danger. As a result, she was frequently overloaded. On the day she left port on April 16, 1945, the ship was carrying nearly 7,000 passengers, more than 5 times the maximum number. Towards the end of the day, around midnight, a Soviet submarine sank the Goya. The ship sank within minutes after the blasts and hits, killing most of the passengers as they slept. Number 6. MV Wilhelm Gustloff. In the latter days of World War II, the German hospital ship MV Wilhelm Gustloff departed from Gdynia, Poland, en route to Kiel, Germany, from which they planned to transport German refugees. There were officially 6,050 individuals listed on the passenger manifest, but many more civilians were on board. An estimated 10,582 people, including passengers and personnel, were on board, which is nearly 5 times the maximum. The MV Wilhelm Gustloff was hit by 4 torpedoes from a Soviet submarine on January 30, 1945. Passengers panicked and many were injured or killed in the ensuing stampede to the lifeboats. The Baltic seawater was extremely cold that night, and any contact with it would have been lethal within minutes. If the best estimates of the death toll from the MV Wilhelm Gustloff catastrophe are correct, it will go down as the greatest maritime accident in recorded history. Number 5. RMS Lusitania. The Lusitania was a passenger ship that had been converted into a light merchant cruiser at the onset of war in 1914. The naval conflict in the Atlantic was at a fever pitch by 1915. Germany had proclaimed the waters around Britain a war zone and threatened to fire on any ship it encountered. The RMS Lusitania, which was returning from New York with passengers and ammunition when it was torpedoed on May 7, 1915, killing 1,198 people in the process. Many people felt that the torpedoing was illegal because Lusitania was unarmed. An estimated 120 Americans perished in the sinking, and public outcry over the tragedy contributed to the United States' decision to enter World War I. Less than 2 years later, the United States entered the conflict. Number 4. SS Sultana. The SS Sultana was a cotton-carrying steamer in Mississippi before being pressed into service carrying soldiers during the American Civil War. One of Sultana's boilers exploded at around 2 a.m. on April 27, 1865, and 2 more followed shortly after. The massive explosion tore the wooden boat in 2, setting off massive fires and causing extensive damage. The ship was completely over capacity, with 2,137 passengers on board when it could only hold 376. There were 1,168 confirmed fatalities, making this the deadliest maritime tragedy in US history. Sometimes it is a blessing that we are just alive, you know? As cheesy as it may sound. Number 3. HMS Victory. Unlike the HMS Victory of 1765, the original HMS Victory was a 100-gun Royal Navy vessel launched in 1737. In a storm on October 5, 1744, the English Channel claimed the former HMS Victory. As many as 1,100 sailors perished in the catastrophe, making it the greatest naval disaster in English Channel history. In 2009, a U.S. company called Odyssey Marine Explosion located the remains of the HMS Victory about 50 miles off the coast of England, not far from Plymouth. Despite spending nearly 3 centuries submerged, the ship's armaments remained in fine shape, with the royal crests still clearly visible. Number 2. The White Ship. The White Ship went down in the English Channel on November 25, 1120. An estimated 300 people perished in the shipwreck itself, but the strife it sparked claimed the lives of many more in the years that followed. William the Eighthling, son of Henry I and successor to the English crown, perished in the sinking of the White Ship. Henry's succession plans were overthrown after his death, leading to years of war and unrest in England. There were battles amongst pretenders to the English throne, and many people may have gone hungry as a result. Number 1. RMS Titanic. The loss of the RMS Titanic is arguably the most renowned shipwreck in history. On April 10, 1912, RMS Titanic, the largest ship in the world at the time, departed Southampton for her maiden trip to New York. When she hit an iceberg on the night of April 14, 1912, she was carrying around 2,224 people. This caused extensive damage to the ship's hull. Even though the Titanic had more lifeboats than were required at the time, only about half of the passengers could have been saved at any given time. The problem was exacerbated by the fact that many passengers disregarded the lowered lifeboats because they thought the Titanic was safe because of its reputation as an unsinkable ship. About 1,500 people on board perished due to the ship's rapid sinking, the chaos of the evacuation, and the cold Atlantic seas. What lesson have we learned from these shipwrecks? To never go aboard a ship in our lives. Just kidding, disasters can really happen anywhere, anytime. If you want to see more content that is unbelievable, you should check out our video about flying machines that actually exist. You are in for some cool news, and we'll see you in our next video.